was talking to Adam Butler, and he said that you've been trying some new things this offseason. What can you tell us about the new things you've been trying this offseason?
Man, first off, being consistent, running to the ball. I'm trying to get my cardio up, to be able to be on the field longer, to be around the ball, to make more plays. And then, just being versatile. Last year you saw me outside, inside, and just really try to make my game more efficient inside, working, more edge moves, counter moves, and not just be, a power guy, which I always have in my bag.
Your feet were visibly different in this mini camp, even from where you ended last year. Is that something you spent a lot of time working on in the offseason?
Yeah, feet work, and just everything, core, feet work, and, just having a lower center of gravity. I missed a lot of plays, sacks, tackles, and, I'm always falling on the ground, so that was a big focus in the offseason.
Tyree, let's talk about the development relationship you have with Maxx in year 3. It just looks like after a lot of reps, he's talking to you a lot, and, dependent on you to coming into the season.
Man, me and Maxx, I feel like the bond starts in practice. I always, if we doing a look, I always go with Maxx. I try to give him the best look. He try to give me the best look, and what they say, iron sharpens iron. He always gonna critique me. He been in the game long. He been successful. So I always, ask him, hey, he be like, oh, you can do this better. So I go back and do the rep the better. He tell me good job, and it's just every day, trying to build and try to idolize what he has established at the Raiders.
How cool was it to see his interception today and the celebration you guys kind of had as a defense?
Man, the crazy thing, if y'all was watching individual, we was working on that drill, and practice is reality. So when you practice something, he's always special. He always batting it down, and he worked it today, and he had the pick for a touchdown.
You guys
were
are
a
awesome.
guy like Devin Command, who's won a Super Bowl, very successful. Is it important to bring guys like that into this organization to kind of show the way of what the biggest success is?
Man, Devin, I knew Devin a little bit before he got here, but him as a teammate's way different. He always has the energy. He knows a lot of ball. He helps tell us what to expect at the front. So I feel like that's a great dude to bring in the organization.
There's a rookie that you were teammates with at Texas Tech, Caleb Rogers, is coming in. What has been your relationship like with him, and what are some things you're trying to tell him to try to help him become a pro as well?
Man, Caleb Rogers has always been a guy with great energy, good guy, always down to work. He transitioned that over here to the Raiders. Me and him line up, a little bit across from each other, some reps, and I just tell him to keep your head down. Don't get too cocky. Just always work.
Do you feel this is a big year for you professionally?
Man, it's the biggest year. Not just I feel like ain't no pressure. It's just I feel like I got my feet under me. My teammates are counting me, and the team's counting on me. So yeah, this is a big year.
How would you kind of assess how your first 2 years have been? Like the development has been there for sure. It showed up on the field, but like how do you feel about it?
Man, going back looking at my previous 2 years, first year, foot injury. I got in, really took a lot of time away from ball, and it just went fast. It was a blur. Last year, I starting to grow, starting to feel. Game started to slow down a little bit, but the twitch and the reaction, it wasn't there all the way. It started to develop, after the bye, and now I'm just coming in and starting it in OTAs and transitioning to camp and then into the season.
Tyree, at the end of last year, I talked about the fact that it looked like football was fun again,
yeah.
And you agreed. Today it looked like you're back, you're comfortable again in playing this game now. You're healthy, comfortable. Am I reading you right?
Yeah, you're reading me right. It starts from the top. Pete comes in here with a great mindset, great attitude, and he pours it into the team. And all the coaches want to be here. All the coaches want to have fun, and it just makes it fun for all the players.
Tyree, looked like there was like a scuffle after one of the plays with the offensive. You and Maxx with one of the offensive linemen. Just competitive out there. What was going on?
Man, it's football. It was no fight, no scuffle. It was just competing.
You talk about developing and figuring out like late last year, getting comfortable where you are right now. Do you feel it's almost unfair to not be able to develop in that way? Everybody expects you to be an all-pro right away when you're picked in the top 10, and it's like almost not fair to you at that point.
Man, I wouldn't say not fair. You draft somebody, how you expect them to come out and perform right away. But I feel like every player in the NFL is different. You know, people go through different things. You know, some players are more polished in college than others, and some people have to come in and develop. So I feel like everybody has a different timeline, and you know, my timeline is different. I feel like this year's the year that, you know, you got to go out there and show and shut everybody up. Not that that matters. You know, what matters is the teammates and whoever's around me.
How excited are you for the chance to do that?
Man, you know, I'm not just looking at the season. You gotta take baby steps. First, I gotta finish off mini camp, and then, you know, go back in. The next 6 weeks are big. You know, you can lose a lot or you can gain a lot. So, you know, go back, train, develop some more, and then come into camp and create that bond and be polished up going into the season. And just take it week by week.
You connected with Ashton, being another high draft pick like you, with all the pressure on him coming in.
You said what?
Connected with Ashton.
Man, you know, Ashton's special. You know, we all seen him in college playoffs. He come in, he ain't too arrogant. He's always working. You know, quiet guy, coming in to work. You know, I haven't really spoken with him a lot just for him being on the offensive ball, but you know, I always mess with him each and every day. But I feel like it ain't no pressure. Just go out there and be you, and then let people talk, and that really don't matter. It just matters what we think are, you know, in the building.
Your mindset seems like you've really kind of slowed down each step, each phase of what you're trying to accomplish. Like, how right now is your focus zeroed in as you head into this phase of the offseason and going into training camp?
I feel like to get in, you know, this OTAs, but it ain't real football.
Yeah.
So to really get in football shape, train with pads and a helmet on, and you know, to really focus on being low and be able to take on blocks, and then be able to transition to the pass.
All good? Awesome.
Thanks,
Thanks, Tyree.
Thanks, guys.